Hey guys, can you believe that it's already episode 13? I can hardly believe that. We've had 13 wonderful weeks of sharing stories from other people's cross-cultural experiences, answering you guys' questions, and really just hopefully preparing you a little bit before moving abroad or um, getting into a cross-cultural relationship or friendship. I really hope that these episodes have helped you so far. Today, we're getting into a topic that we've not touched on yet, and that's the idea of should I stay or should I go? So, namaste, Satiru. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of The Crossroads of Culture. We're going to jump right in to the same segment that we had last week, this new little quiz style segment. I hope you enjoyed that. This one's a little bit different. So let's just do a quick Ke Bhayo quiz. And if you're feeling stuck or homesick or unsure if you should actually stay in your new country, specifically the United States, as we've been talking about, if you're unsure that this life is right for you, then hopefully this quiz will help you to kind of sort through some of those thoughts and emotions that you might be having. So instead of there being a right answer, I'm just going to read you these questions and you can reflect on which answer do you identify the most with, and then we'll get into the episode. So for the first question, it says, you've been abroad for 6+ months and you still feel like a tourist. Do you A, push harder to blend in, B, feel tired but hopeful, C, avoid going out altogether? Okay, second question. Your first thought when waking up is A, what's today's new adventure? B, here we go again. C, how long until I can leave this place? Okay, question number 3. When talking to people back home, you mostly feel excited to share your new experiences. B, like they just don't get it or they just don't understand. C, a little jealous or ashamed of your friends and family back home. Number 4, the last time you truly felt like yourself was A, recently, B, a while ago, or C, back before you moved. And number 5, the idea of staying another year makes you feel A, energized, B, numb, or C, panicked. So think through those questions, reflect on them. I'd like to just make a little note as well on number 3 when it says, when talking to people back home, you mostly feel a little jealous or ashamed. It's not ashamed of the people back home, but maybe jealous of their experiences or ashamed that you're having negative experiences in your new country. So if you answered with mostly B's and C's in this quiz, then this episode is for you. So sometimes new international students, or even students who have been in the United States for a while, might have this silent question inside of them, something that they don't share openly with friends and family. And that's the idea of, what if this isn't working? Or what if I'm not actually supposed to be here? What if I made a mistake and this isn't the right choice? So today we're going to talk a little bit about this emotion and this question that you might be having. First, if you are having those feelings, I just want to let you know that it's normal. Again, some of these difficult experiences and emotions, people don't understand all of the time, and it is really normal because you have done such a great job by leaving your friends and your family, your home culture, your home country, and everything that you've ever known, all of the normals in your life. You have completely left that and come to a new place, maybe learned a new language and are making new friends and having a new way of life. And that is also commendable. You have to be very brave and courageous to do that. And so, first, just take a moment um, to tell yourself that and to encourage yourself and give yourself a pat on the back that you're doing great just by making it this far. And there's no need to feel guilty or ashamed for questioning if you made the right decision or wanting to go back home. Those are all very normal thoughts and feelings. Um, Many people feel this way, but they are scared to admit it. And though I've not moved and lived abroad, I have talked about my experiences of moving to different parts of the United States, leaving different friends and family groups, and what that's felt like, and the different struggles that I've experienced in that. And in across cultural relationships and all of those things as well. But um, I definitely probably went through some of those same emotions. I knew that I hadn't made the wrong choice, and I wasn't particularly wanting to go back home, though I did miss a lot of the things from home. Um, that I just couldn't get here, especially like the food and the beach and the slow way of life and things like that that I just didn't appreciate as much at a younger time in my life. But definitely from moving from my previous city to the one that I'm in now, it has been a much bigger transition, and I felt much more comfortable and at home in my previous city. And um, I had a lot of friends. I had been there for many years, and so I definitely thought through maybe not thinking that I made the wrong choice because my husband is here and I'm happy to be here with him and some of the friends that I've made recently. But I definitely grieved that experience of leaving my friends and the comfort of the city that I was in and the things that I really loved about being there. And so I can understand at least to that extent. But I've also had many friends here as well who have perhaps moved from other countries and have been in the US. And typically, the first semester is really difficult. A lot of people do question if they should have come here. Some people do end up going back home. And so let's just talk a little bit about why those things might be and how to make the most wise decision if you are actually trying to decide should you stay in the United States or you should go back to your home country. So, of course, like we've talked about in previous episodes, all of the stages of culture shock really play into your emotional and mental state and how capable and easily how capable you are of adjusting and how easily you are make new relationships and pick up on the language and really get ingrained in the society and all of those things, how comfortable you become, how quickly. That all kind of depends on how you move through these stages of culture shock. And when you lose your support systems, like your friends and your family back home, especially, not that you've lost them completely out of your life, but they're not there in the present moment with you to be there when you need them to be. They can try their best, and you can, of course, call them, but again, with time differences and things like that, that can be challenging. And sometimes you might want to put on this face that everything is perfect, everything is going well, and you don't want your family to worry about you. Or maybe you feel a little bit of heaviness that they've invested a lot in you being able to come here, maybe financially, and you don't want to disappoint them, and you want them to, yeah, just not worry and to think that everything is going well for you. And so you might not feel as able to share these kind of emotions that you're going through. Also, there can be unmet expectations that can cause confusion in you or burnout in you when you are trying to navigate these cultural changes. And those expectations might look like being able to pick up on the language more quickly than you are able to in reality, being able to make friends more quickly than you are able to, or more easily than you are able to, finding a job perhaps, or really excelling academically. And when you find challenges in these ways, and it adds on top of the other cultural shocks that you're going through, then that can definitely also lead you into this place of second guessing your decisions. So, um, like I mentioned before, you'll have to work through these feelings of guilt and shame and pressure of, uh, you know, your parents having supported you to come here, or for other people back home who might be saying to you that you're so lucky to be in the United States, you're living their dream, or living everyone's dream, and how proud they are of you and how excited they are for you. And so that can put this layer of guilt on you, or shame, if it's not actually going the way that you had expected it to. You don't want to let other people down. You don't want to look like a failure in front of them. You might internalize that pressure then. And like I said, other people have um, really given of themselves and sacrificed for you to be able to be here, whether it's because of money, or the visa that you were able to get, or you felt maybe in the past particularly called to the United States. You had a dream and a vision and a plan for your life, and now it's looking like those things are falling apart to you, or not quite measuring up to what you had expected. So, with all of these feelings and thoughts that are coming to mind now, I want you to reflect on the place that you're in, and um, just kind of sit with these feelings, and then try to discern, is this discomfort uh, a phase, or is it a sign that's pushing you towards a better decision for your life? So it could potentially be just a phase that you're going through, and there could be a lot of reasons for those things. First, like I mentioned, if it's your first semester, I would just always encourage waiting and holding off until the end of the second semester before you make these kind of decisions about going back home, because there's so many changes happening in such a short period of time. It's normal for you to feel that way. Um, but I don't personally think that it's necessary for you to go back, just based on the discomfort of that situation. Usually, it's a phase in that period, and it won't take you very long, and you will get adjusted. You will make friends. You will start excelling in your academics or in your language learning, and it'll become much easier than you expected. So just slow down, hold off a little bit. Don't make those decisions so quickly. Um, and if it's been longer than that and you're still feeling this way, think about how long it's been then since you've been home. I mentioned in a previous episode that it's really good for you, for your mental state and everything that you're going through, just psychologically, for you to go back and visit your home at least once every 2 years, if possible. So, if you've been gone for 2 years and you've still not gone back home yet, it might be time to just take a short-term trip there. Don't decide to go move back home and drop everything that you're doing in your work in the United States or your studies, but just go back, take a break, reconnect with your family and friends, with your lost traditions and food and holidays and all of these things. If you can take a 1 month break, many students do that, and that is so helpful to just refresh you before going back into your life in the United States. If it's been a bit of time, you visited home and then you've come back and you're still feeling this way, then I would suggest that you reflect through some of these thoughts. So, first, are you mourning something real that was lost? Like, for example, family and friends and connection and food and all of these things that we've talked about? Or are you comparing this life that you're living now in your new country, in the United States, to a romanticized version of home? Like, do you have this idealized version of home in your mind of how wonderful it is back home? And don't get me wrong, of course, it is wonderful in all its own ways, but every place has its own problems. And I'm sure when you were at home, you didn't think that it was like the end all be all best place that you could be. There was a reason why you wanted to leave home, whether it was that you couldn't get the education and experiences that you could get in a new country, or a lot of different reasons why people choose to study abroad. So, if that's the case, then really try to think, am I really like romanticizing this idea of home and making it better in my mind than it really is? And if that's the case, then try to scale that back and be a little bit more realistic with identifying the things that you're missing about home, and then try to incorporate those into your life. If it's missing your home food, then hopefully you can make some friends and start cooking your home food together. And if not that, there are restaurants potentially for the places that you've come from and things like that. Of course, it's not the same. I know it doesn't taste the same as home cooked food or even restaurant or street food from where you're from, but whatever you can do to kind of make it feel a little bit more like home, then try to surround yourself with those things. The second thought is around the topic of burnout. So, are your symptoms tied to exhaustion, isolation, or overwork? And would support and rest change how you're feeling in this moment? So, if you're feeling exhausted, overworked, burdened, and isolated from friends and family, then that can lead you into a place of burnout. And if you're in that place, then of course, leaving this uncomfortable situation and going back home seems like the best option in that moment. But you can also help these feelings by giving yourself some rest and supporting yourself either mentally, emotionally, spiritually in different ways. I talked a little bit about just moments of self-care and having time away where you can really do the things that you enjoy and focus on those things. Of course, incorporating old traditions, surrounding yourself by your own language, and all of those kind of things. And then just doing things that really feed into your soul and your mind. If you like to paint or you like to take walks or little trips or things like that. I'm a person who loves to travel and I can't travel outside of the country right now. So because of that, my husband and I love to take little weekend trips to help us feel more excited and alive and happy to be in the place that we are. Because of course, even for us, even though we have married each other, we have a happy relationship, and we have friends here. Our family is very far away from us, and I think our closest family um, that we're very close to would be 10 hours away. My family is 20 hours away. So it's a long trip to be able to go see family, but we can go to nature spots that we really enjoy. We love forests and mountains and waterfalls, and there are a lot of places in the United States with so many different types of landscape, so many different types of cities and experiences you can have, even within just this one country. Many people talk about this, that all of the states of the United States are like traveling to a different country each time. Some of them are very similar to each other, but some of them are very different. And so, just finding something that you enjoy and love and can focus on instead of those feelings that make you feel rested and refreshed are a good way to get yourself out of burnout if that's your problem. Now, the last thought is on misalignment. So, have your values changed? And are you no longer drawn to this place, the United States, for the same reasons? So, maybe your values were that you wanted to follow a particular career path, and you thought that education in the United States would give you that thing that you are desiring and would be good for your resume and for your career and all of these things. And maybe that's true, but maybe as you got into it, you realized that's not what you wanted to do after all. And maybe just changing your career path could still be done in your home country. Maybe it didn't need to be done in the United States. Maybe you want to join your family business back home or something different than what you had aspired to originally. So if that's changed, then that's a real reason why you could consider going back home. It is expensive to stay here. It is challenging to stay here. And so if your reason for being here is no longer your reason and you don't have a good reason for being here anymore, then it makes sense that you might feel like you want to go back home. Um, and I would just say to come into this space reflecting on these questions and reassessing your emotions. Um, and just give yourself the permission to do that without feeling the guilt or the shame that we talked about earlier. It's not failing at life or, um, you know, disappointing others or any of these things. It's just making a new decision based off of new information that you have. So if you feel like, um, this is the right thing to do, that your values have changed or your goals have changed, and this path is no longer necessary for you to reach those goals, then you're free to make that decision, and that's okay. Of course, talking it over with trusted friends and family is always a good idea before making big decisions. I also love to tell people not to make decisions based out of fear. If it's fear of maybe not being able to succeed, fear of failure, or fear of not getting the job that you need at the end of this long stint of education, or other things that could be rooted in different types of fears as well. Fears of not being accepted, or there's so many fears that we can have of uncertainty and the unknown of the future. But if you're making this decision just based on fear, then that's not a good reason to make a decision, in my opinion. I think, as I had mentioned before, if it's based off of good, logical reasons and you have the support of friends and family who have given you good advice and counsel for the decisions that you're making, then of course it makes a lot of sense and that's a great way to make a decision. But if it's based off of fears or insecurities or these other things that you can work through, like burnout or these things that we mentioned before, then it might be worth taking a minute to just sit and reflect and um, just ask yourself, why are you making the decisions that you are? There are a few other questions that you can ask yourself before making this decision to move. So first, like I said before, have I given it enough time? Is it just my first semester, second semester, or have I been here for a few years and I just realized like I've given it enough time and it's not getting any better? Have I asked for help or built support around me? So you can ask for help from many different areas. Often you have your international student advisors who might be able to, if not give you direct advice about personal issues like this or the decisions that you're making, they can connect you with people who can help you to voice your thoughts. Many universities have counseling as well, and there's nothing shameful about going to those places and really just sharing what your struggles are and why you've decided that you think that you should go back abroad. And they can ask you other probing questions about your own personal situation, and see if this is really the right fit for you. And lastly, ask yourself, do you feel like you are running from something or running towards something? So again, this is kind of that idea of making a decision based off of fear, but worded another way. Are you running from something or towards something? If you're running from something like this discomfort or fear of rejection or fear of failure or these other things, that might not be the best decision for you. But if you're running towards something like you have a new dream, a new aspiration, you have new excitement about life and about going somewhere else, um, or going back home, then I think go towards that dream, and there's no one to stop you from that. And I think my last thought that just kind of came from that as well, like I mentioned about the United States being so different in different states that you might be in, maybe you might just need a different location or a different change of pace from the place that you ended up going to originally. So I know a lot of times people don't completely know about the surroundings of the university that they're in. It's really hard to know what that situation might look like, and they end up in a really small town thinking it might be a big city or something like that. And so that can be especially challenging, especially if you come from, somewhere that has a huge population and big cities. You don't come from a small town or a village, and then you end up in a smaller town in the United States. It can be really disorienting and difficult to make relationships or to feel comfortable or any of those things. So first, I would suggest like going and visiting some bigger cities on the weekends when you can or over break, or visiting other areas close by that have universities that you might be willing to transfer to. I personally know someone who was here for one semester and was really struggling and was thinking about going back home, but instead she connected with some people in a different state who were from her home country, and she decided to move there, and the landscape and the atmosphere and the type of city that she's in and the type of people she's surrounded by have drastically improved her experiences of being in the United States. She's been able to find that support and friendship that she needed from people from her home culture, and she's also started making friends outside of that as well. And so maybe something like that might be worth taking a look at before you make the final decision to go back home. So that would be my last thought. Of course, if you have any questions about these things, or you yourself want some support to work through your own decisions and thoughts, I do have opportunities for one-on-one coaching and group coaching. So you can go to my website for that and sign up for that if you're interested. If you have any other questions about other topics about intercultural relationship or life in the United States or studying abroad or any of those things, you can submit them anonymously or with your name, whatever you prefer. And in our next Dear Sati episode, the Q&A episode, we'll talk about some of those things. So you can DM me on Instagram at Janessa_Elise. And before we wrap this whole thing up, let's just take a minute to calm our minds and see if any of these reflection questions that I'm going to ask you resonate with you, and if it gives you some direction about what you're thinking about in your life. So first, I just want to ask you to take a deep breath, calm down, calm your thoughts and your emotions, and ask yourself, with the most kindness that you can, putting aside that fear or guilt, anxiety or shame, none of that. Just ask yourself, what do I need most right now? Do I need rest? Do I need connection? Or do I need release? What is one small thing that might help me to feel more grounded this week? And if I could choose my next step based on peace instead of fear, what would I choose? So sit with those questions and think about them. Journal about them if you can, and share your thoughts with a friend. And if you don't have anyone you feel comfortable with, of course, I'm always happy to hear from you, and I would love to hear some of your thoughts about this topic, this episode, and where you're at in life and the decisions that you're making. If you have a friend who might need to hear this episode, and who needs permission to not have to love everything about living abroad all the time, then you can, of course, share this episode with them. And as I always mention, the Becoming Culturally Confident in 90 Days course is coming up. So if you'd like to join the waitlist, you can do that on my website as usual. And until next time, I really hope that you find a lot of peace and happiness where you are, no matter that you're, satisfied to stay in that place for a long term or you're planning on going home. I just hope and pray for the next week it's filled with peace and joy. Until next time, I'll see you later.